Hello everyone. Right, before this episode begins, I've got an announcement. It's a very exciting one. We are starting an app. We're in the middle of building it. It's not quite finished yet. But we basically wanted to do it to thank you guys for being so incredible, being so supportive and just being so kind. So within this app, you're going to get extra content, you're going to get behind the scenes footage, bloopers, not that there's many of those. You're going to get giveaways, competitions, and so much more. And then we're going to introduce a subscription. And if you subscribe, you'll be able to vote on upcoming content. You'll be able to do special events, join me at the pub, and also come on set. But it's not quite ready yet, so you'll have to wait a little while. But until then, enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Kid in a Sweet Shop. So today I'm here to meet a friend of mine called Jonathan Kennard. He's an ex-racing driver, but more interestingly he is a 1990s F1 expert. So he's brought me to this undisclosed location in the middle of the UK because he says he's got something incredible for me to look at. Right, he said he's here. There he is. Oh my goodness, I recognise that. Oh, how are you? Sorry, I'm not.
Very good. How are you doing?
Oh my goodness. I recognise this. This is Nigel Mansell's.
Both are Nigel's cars. Both are Nigel's cars. Raced in 1989 and 1991 by the great man.
The 89 one.
It is, it is.
Oh my goodness.
Very, very special car.
Yeah.
He raced this car for the majority of the 89 season.
Yes.
And actually won 2 Grand Prix in this car.
He did.
Yeah. So this car has a lot of history, and this is where the great man sat and drove. Still got his signature on the seat. It's just absolutely fantastic.
Oh, look at the signature. Amazing. And which were the Grand Prix that he won in it again?
So the stories behind this car is, it's a phenomenal car. Obviously the end of the turbo era in 1988.
Yes.
So this was the first Ferrari for a long time that had a V12 Ferrari, the wonderful, beautiful sound this car makes. Yeah. V12, and the first Ferrari with the semi-automatic gearbox.
Is the engine in this?
It is, yes.
Is it?
It is, yeah. So the wonderful thing about this car is it's totally complete, and it is exactly how the car was as it was left at the last Grand Prix of 1989.
Really?
Even the tyres, as you can see.
I know, I was about to say, they are like battle-worn tyres. So nothing has been touched since it came off the track with Nigel.
Yes.
Wow.
You just don't get that these days anymore. This is creme de la creme with that. And yeah, the story about this car really is that they were really worried with the semi-automatic gearbox. Will it last a Grand Prix?
Is it right that one of the races he won in it, he turned around and said, "Don't go far, guys. I'm literally not going to make it to the third lap or something."
Absolutely right. So he booked an earlier flight home because he said, "I'm never going to do more than 4 or 5 laps."
British Airways, wasn't it? It was a British. I remember this.
Yeah. And so, I mean, everyone knew the car was fast. It was a great car in testing, but it didn't do many laps before the gearbox broke. And you've got to imagine, this is the first car ever in Formula One that ran the semi-automatic gearbox. You can see the paddle shift here that John Barnard, the amazing designer, used for this car. And it was the way forward, but obviously Formula One nowadays all have the paddle shift system. A lot of road cars have it now.
Yes.
But this was the first car that ever had it. So really amazing. But
a lot of teething problems. Yeah.
And so they went to the first Grand Prix in 1989, which was at Rio then, and Nigel wasn't that sure it was going to last that long. And they started the Grand Prix. I think Berger took out Senna at the first lap, and suddenly he found himself, I think, in 3rd position.
Yeah.
Patrici's scampering away.
Yeah.
Nigel goes after him, and then does one pit stop, goes back out, and then overtakes Prost. Tracy's still in the lead at this point. And
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps just
you
as you're
do-
saying it.
just-
Go on,
it's
keep
just
running. I'm going to
wonderful.
close my eyes and I can picture it. So he
Um,
comes out right.
And then he does his second pit stop, and that was the first, and probably not only, but the first pit stop that was ever made that was a 5-wheel pit stop, because he had a lot of trouble with the paddle shift system. Nigel, being Nigel, a lot of commotion in the cockpit, took the steering wheel off, they gave him a new one, put the steering wheel on, new set of tyres, sent it out the pit lane, and he chased down Prost again. Wonderful move in this chassis to take the win, and everyone was just amazed that it even lasted, let alone won the Grand Prix.
And that was the first race of the season.
And first race as a Ferrari driver. So
It's the way to do it,
I know,
isn't
it's
it?
just what a debut. And from then on, he was known as Il Leone, the Lion, by the Tifosi, the adoring Ferrari fans, because of his fighting spirit. So that was in this very car.
Again,
So-
every time I get to kind of like moments of when I was a little girl growing up watching F1, and I can just remember these incredible, the whole family gathering around the TV and remembering these races, I honestly get quite, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't replicate history like that.
No, you can't.
He won another Grand Prix in '89 at Hungary, and he actually
Hungaroring.
qualified 12th on the grid and found his way. It was the probably Nigel's best ever drive, in my opinion. 12th on the grid and ended up winning the Grand Prix, past Ayrton Senna to lead the race in the dying moments, and then finished 20 seconds in the lead.
What?
Because he was running 2 seconds a lap quicker than anyone else at some stages of the Hungarian Grand Prix in this chassis. It was the most phenomenal performance. And you've got to remember, you've got people like PK, you've got Prost, you've got Senna.
Serious drivers.
Serious drivers. And Nigel just came away with a win, his most amazing win.
I love everything's got his name.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Everything.
Yeah.
And I can
wonderful.
almost smell kind of stale sweat. It's really
Smell the
mad.
history, yeah.
I can smell.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to know
Yeah,
what they
probably
do for
not.
long,
No, no.
for
Yeah.
long races. What might be in there as well?
Um,
Wow.
Technically, at the
gonna
moment,
look
this
at the
car, as we say, is completely all intact. It's got the V12 in it. I mean, it's just wonderful. And I think the important thing is that you can get this car running as well. It will need a bit of work, clearly, but it's all complete, and I think we would love to see it out on the track again, wouldn't we?
Oh God, can you imagine seeing this back out? Well, the noise is like
yes.
it just reverberates through you. It's just.
As you can see here, most beautiful Ferrari V12 engine, trumpets, inlet trumpets, and there we go, opening up the throttle, just as Nigel would have done in 1989. What an engine! What an engine! And you've got to remember as well. You got Nigel Mansell, you've got Senna, all the boys, and you got Murray Walker as well, screaming at the TV. You got James Hunt on the commentary.
That's what I mean.
I love it. Wonderful era of Grand Prix racing.
And so this is moving on. It's going to move on to a new owner.
Yes. So obviously owned by Nigel at the moment, and is going to be coming up for auction soon.
For auction in Monaco at the historic. Wow. Well, one lucky person is going to get this car.
Yes, telling me.
Gosh, and how brilliant that you could, with a little bit of time and effort, get it all up and running again.
Yes, exactly.
Engine in, ready to go.
And
might need new shoes though.
New shoes, yeah, definitely, a new couple other bits and pieces, but there's no reason why it can't be back out on track again, where it belongs. Let's be honest. So,
and it only did the one season with
one season in '89, and he was a Ferrari driver again for 1990.
Yeah.
And then in 1991 brings us nicely to this other wonderful car.
Now this I've just got, because I've got a picture on it of this. I think one of the most iconic F1 pictures ever. And is it this car where he picks up Senna?
Chassis 5.
Oh, for God's sake.
This is the one.
Are you serious?
I am serious. This is the one. British
Oh
Grand
my
Prix in
God.
'91.
It was this side. I mean, I've been
here.
looking at this picture like all my life. It was this side.
Yes.
I'm just going to perch.
Yeah, so famously, Nigel won the British Grand Prix in this chassis. Senna was running second, and I believe ran out of fuel on the last lap.
He did. It was one of the most unbelievable battles, and just
Yes.
that moment of just, you know, after he had gone through the checkered flag, come round, saw Senna and just stopped, and he just leapt on and just.
And you've got to remember, these two are fighting for the championship.
Yes.
Senna had started the year very well, won some Grand Prix. There were some teething troubles with this car. Again, this is the first Williams that ran the semi-automatic gearbox. So they hadn't had a great start in 1991. And suddenly, mid-season, this is the car. This is the car to beat.
Yeah, it suddenly
with
got into
Tracy in the
form.
sister car, Nigel in this one. It was the quickest car, but still slightly unreliable in places. But halfway through the year, Nigel was racking up the wins.
Unstoppable.
Suddenly he has to pick up. He doesn't have to. Very kind of him to pick up Ayrton on that slowdown lap. But they're championship rivals
They
at that
really
point.
were, and
So,
it was an unbelievable season.
Yeah.
So how many did this particular car win in that season?
This won 5 Grand Prix,
Did
I
it?
think, which is phenomenal. So it only ever raced in '91, because of course then it went. This is the passive suspension car. In
Yeah.
'92 they went to the full active.
Suspensions, yeah.
This ran only in '91, and also this is the very chassis, unfortunately, that he spun in the Japanese Grand Prix,
Oh my
and
God.
effectively finally gave away the championship
away the
by doing that.
championship.
But yeah, a lot of history in this car. Renault V10. It was probably the most powerful car, along
Yeah.
with maybe the Honda, but the most powerful engine
Powerful engine,
in '91, and designed by Adrian Newey. The
Oh,
first
good old
Williams,
Adrian.
Newey.
Yes, this was the first one.
This was the first one. So he'd been at Leighton House / March previous years,
Yeah.
and famously nearly won the 1990 French Grand Prix with his Leighton House.
Yes.
Halfway through, he'd moved to Williams and started to design this with Patrick Head. And I mean, to me, this is the most wonderful Formula
Beautiful.
1 car of all time.
Utterly beautiful.
I absolutely love it. I'm a huge Williams fan through and through. And you can see Adrian's influence.
Yeah,
on it.
Adrian is just everything he touches is magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This isn't the chassis that stopped on the last lap of the Canadian Grand Prix. That's another one.
Okay.
But
That's good.
yeah, this won plenty of Grand Prix. So yeah, very important car in the history of Formula 1.
It's just so blinking cool. How much do you think it will go for?
So the low estimate on this car, I believe, is €1.5 million. But I think that when the world understands the story and the significance of the history of this car, particularly with Senna sitting on the side pod at the British Grand Prix, I think the world could go nuts on it. It's truly magnificent.
I mean, to me, it's as I said, I've got that picture, you know, and I've had that picture in my house
Yeah.
for a very long time, and it's totally iconic.
Yes.
And I can't actually believe that this was the car. I thought you were going to go, no, it's the same one but different.
No, this is the one. This is the one. And I don't think you'd find a more iconic photo in Formula 1,
No.
would you? I mean this played a key role in it. And the other thing about the British Grand Prix that year that I absolutely loved was actually the qualifying session. And you've got to imagine the crowd, the Nigel fans, the Union Jacks are waving, Murray Walker's going crazy, and Senna's giving it everything he's got in qualifying. And he goes, I think it was 0.8 quicker than Nigel at one point in qualifying.
Yeah.
And this is when they could have several cracks at the lap time.
Yeah.
And you see, they zoom in on Nigel's face as soon as Ayrton had done that lap time, and he just can't believe what Ayrton's just done. He's like, how can I do that?
Yeah.
And you could just see him just try and get all that energy, and let's
having a
just
word with
give it
himself.
everything else and gather all that energy from the crowd. They're going nuts. It's the most amazing thing. And he goes, I think, 0.8 quicker than than Ayrton on that next lap. And the sparks are coming off the underside of this. The noise, the crowd are going wild, and yeah, I think it was 7 or 8 tenths quicker. I mean,
Oh my
in
God.
this car, I adore it. I think it's wonderful. Really, really special Williams, special Formula 1 car.
They're like the Holy Grail.
They are Holy Grail. You can't recreate history like that.
No, especially when it has such an emotional kind of feeling it evokes, you know, and it's not just me, it's, you know, oh gosh, because they're Nigel and we're in England, and, you know, that Brit feeling is just, but I think it was worldwide, you know, his love and fan base was worldwide. I mean, I can't believe they're going. I can't believe they're, wow, I would love to see them out.
Yes. Well,
you know,
like the Ferrari, this can clearly be run again. A bit more work to do on this one. There's just a dummy engine in this one.
Dummy engine.
But,
yeah, because Renault, they took all of their...
about the engines.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why this can't eventually be running again. And I know that Nigel certainly would love to see that. And I think we all would, wouldn't we?
Yeah, wouldn't we?
But really, really amazing. Actually, as you're looking down the cockpit, you can see down here, you obviously got the chassis plate, and then you'll see some stars up there.
Yes, what are the stars?
So the gold stars were for Grand Prix victories, which they'd put in any of the chassis that won the Grand Prix.
Did they? This was just a Renault thing?
No, well, Williams, yeah.
Williams, sorry.
Yeah, so, and then silver
1, 2,
was, I think,
3,
pole
4,
positions. So
5, 6,
I think a couple of them are
7,
faded. But,
yeah, okay, so might be.
There's lovely history with that.
And if I remember rightly, I think Senna had his leg in here, didn't he?
He did. He had his leg in there, holding onto the roll hoop here. And
unbelievable.
I think there probably was a Union Jack hanging out this side as well, so it was all going on.
Yes.
And a track invasion for good measure as well.
I know
so,
there wasn't there?
Just making me emotional about it now.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? It's just extraordinary. And it's sometimes quite difficult to explain those emotions.
And I think probably one of the most popular British drivers that there's ever been.
Ever.
And
I mean, you know, Lewis and I'm sure all these new up and coming stars, heroes, but Nige, and it was just that era, it was that time, it was, you know, it was those battles.
Yeah.
It was the best drivers in the world. It was just, it had everything, exactly. It was
the stories
pure racing.
Pure racing, exactly.
Pure racing.
I mean, this was the era where the cars are getting more and more advanced technically, but they're still quite raw at this point, and I think that's why everyone loves them. So it's a real privilege to get to see them in this environment before they obviously go to auction in a couple of weeks' time. But just have them all to ourselves, really. It's amazing.
I know, it's exactly. Yeah. I don't want to leave yet. I'm not quite ready to leave.
I'll be here for a while.
I just want to stay. But just kind of...
Red 5. The famous numbers on both of the cars, obviously Ferrari number 27, really famous, iconic Ferrari number, and then Red 5, you just can't beat it, can you?
Unbelievable. So both of these going to be heading down to the Monaco Historic, where RN Sotheby's are going to be putting them into auction. And do you think they'll go for, what do you think they'll go for? This is 1.5 because it's got no engine, right?
Yes, so 1.5, it could go considerably higher though. If people really get into the story, particularly with Senna and the significance of the history of Formula One for this.
Yeah, the Senna taxi.
The sky is the limit. Yeah, exactly. Sky is the limit. And just on the balance that it won a lot of Grand Prix.
Many Grand Prix, yeah.
So yes, obviously it has the dummy engine in it, so that sort of drops the value slightly.
Yeah.
But you can't, as we said, you can't replicate the history. The sky is the limit, really, for both of the cars. But you know,
I mean,
we shall see.
I think with just the emotion that it evokes in both of us, it's kind of like, I think if anyone gets a touch on that, then, I mean, I wish, I wish I would definitely have it. I'd put it in my sitting room. I'd stroke it every day. And kiss it and like, oh.
Yeah.
And
then get it out back on track.
And then get it back on the track. Yeah. Okay. And then the Ferrari, you say 2.5
euros to 5 is the estimate from Sotheby's.
But of course, it's a Ferrari.
It is a Ferrari.
Yeah.
It's complete.
It's got the engine.
Exactly how it was last left for its last Grand Prix.
Yeah, exactly.
Beat that. I mean,
2 Grand Prix wins.
That's why probably the estimate is slightly higher between the two cars.
I bet you Zach Brown's going to be good.
No, probably, yeah. I'm sure he would be. I mean,
he loves his winning F1 cars.
He does. It will appeal to a lot of people. Both cars will, and you know, I think if the energy in the room at the auction is what the cars deserve, again, sky's the limit. Really, I think so.
I mean,
it'll be a fun auction as well as it really interesting.
Well, do you know what? I'm going to go. I'm going to follow these cars down there and go through this whole process, because I think they're two such incredible, iconic F1 cars owned by my hero, Mr. Mansell, and I'm just intrigued to see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you for
pleasure.
taking me through. I mean,
Really is
I
pleasure.
kind of, as soon as I came around the corner, I was like, no. But thank you for literally, you know, just explaining. It's been incredible. They are very, very, very special. And I'm going to make arrangements now to get down to the Monaco Historic to see how they get on in the auction.
Be fascinating.
Are you going to come as well?
I will. I can't stay away.
Let's do it. Let's do it. But thank you so much, my love.
Pleasure.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. Wow. And as I said, I will take you through the whole process of how they get on in the auction down in Monaco at the RM Sotheby's auction. So I'm just going to sit and just worship them for a little bit.
Yeah, likewise.
Just go on.
Roll out the red carpet.
Anyway, see you at Monaco.